Hello, y'all. GLS again, and I wanted to ponder kind of the year plus long seasons idea. Honestly, it's kind of weird. You would have training camp in the middle of games, you would have preseason and regular season games at the same time. You'd have to be actively learning the sport as your kind of friends are playing the games, but obviously this is purely hypothetical now. This would never happen unless you're the MLS. Ignore that. They have two different seasons. I guess fall and winter, or maybe summer and winter, depending on kind of where you are in the world. And those go pretty much all year round with a couple transfer windows. So we're gonna ignore them. I wanted to write it down anyway, because soccer's kind of interesting in that aspect. But yeah, let's start with the NHL. And the NHL is an October to September regular season, hypothetically. Didn't write down their actual starts because who cares about that? Yeah, October to September regular season. They do 84 games, which has been talked about and speculated for a little bit with their new CBA. Obviously, that's going to be in 2030 or prior to that if they come to an agreement before that. Yeah, so they play 84 games over the span of 11 months, and that's pretty spread out. And obviously, hockey's pretty fast paced. So I believe this is kind of necessary to spread out those games, get a little bit more training in, to give them that rest that they really need to play all of those games and to be as physical as humanly possible. It also gives time for some players to come back from injury, as will all of these kind of ideas will. And then September to November playoffs. For the NHL, it's kind of necessary. Well, not necessary, but a long 2-month playoff would be pretty good for all of these. I think I have it for all of them. But yeah, 2-month playoffs, spread it out, have it be at the start of the season. So those starting better teams give the worst teams a chance at the beginning of the season. Then when they come back, obviously those better teams kind of take off. And that's a little bit of a scheduling nightmare too, because you have to take into account teams that do better in the playoffs and also do worse. So you have to have very tight playoff scheduling. Yeah, it also gives a little bit more rest to the teams that are knocked out early, for better or for worse. If you're a good team and you get knocked out by a bad team, like the 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning, you get a better chance to start the season with a better team. I have no idea when the off season would be. Obviously, it's it's up in the air. But yeah, this is just generally kind of what these are. So the NHL, done. The NBA starts in September, ends in September. You get a full year to play 82 games. Because these guys are fragile. That's about it. They have a 2-month playoff as well. But yeah, a full year for the regular season. I don't know when trade deadlines would be either. That's obviously the biggest part. But yeah, NBA regular season starting on the same day as it ends, or ending on the same day as it starts, whichever one you prefer. Would be kind of cool to play with. Say it starts on the 29th of September and the playoffs start on the 1st of October. That'd be kind of cool. Nothing much to say here. I kind of already said it. So yeah, NBA done. NFL. This is the one where I kind of went a little bit crazy. You have a long season, a 11-month season again, with a 2-month playoff, 32-game regular season, with a 2-game Pretend this is a game. Aggregate. Pretend this is AGG, for every playoff round. Now that would be cool. That would be changing up the NFL a whole lot. More games, harder for teams to go winless, although might change kind of the the talent level of every team. It would change the disparity of the better team versus the worst team as well, but it would also even teams out a lot more. And you would very, very not often see a lossless team, a team that goes full sweep. That would be much, much more difficult and probably unheard of at that point in football. But yeah, 32 games would be cool. 2-game aggregates, which would mean 8 games at the current kind of playoff we have now for for teams that aren't the first seed at least. So yeah, 8 total games and a 2-game Super Bowl would be kind of cool. I want to talk about that further in a different video. But yeah, NFL done. The MLB, it's just a lengthened season. I made sure that this one ended after a year because I like baseball more. But yeah, March to January regular season and a January to March playoff. This one is the most feasible. It would require most teams to get a stadium for the snow. They play the same amount of games, of course, 162, to the chagrin of Anthony Rendon. This idea helps his kind of agenda, I would say. But yeah, spreading out the MLB because of how many games they have would be a good idea. Training camp would be at the same time as the playoffs, which would be kind of good and bad. Most teams would get a playoff. This would end in early March, and this would start in late March. Obviously, the draft doesn't change because that's mid-season. Free agency and other stuff. So free agency would end immediately after the season ends, kind of like the NBA. And then you go immediately into training camp to start your season. That gives less time for negotiation, more time for getting ready for the long season. And I like that idea. It's a nice change of pace. And I think all of these would benefit from that. It's just harder to do because it's already pretty much in place for the MLB. And obviously off seasons would be so much shorter for vacations, but you could have vacations in the middle of the season. Like the NFL, a lot of bye weeks. You play 32 games, but you're playing it over 11 months. That's a lot of bye weeks. Maybe there's even a month-long kind of all-star break. Getting rid of the Pro Bowl would be an interesting decision, though, but I digress. Pro Bowl at the end of the year is, although not the worst idea, I feel like most sports would benefit from that. I feel like the in-season Pro Bowl would help its case more to fit in with the other ones, like the MLB not having first-round picks be traded. I like that you can trade first-round picks. It's risky, and it will benefit your team a lot if you do it right. But also, you're not the NBA, and the volatility is absolutely crazy. We're not talking about the MLS. But yeah, this is just me thinking out loud. Once again, over 9.5 minutes. Yeah. Any thoughts about this would be appreciated. Obviously, not going to happen, but the idea is there. The only one I would talk about this actually happening would be at the MLB. But that would take a lot of discussion and a lot of back and forth. There's benefits, there's downsides, there's a whole lot of baggage coming with it. So it's a good idea. It's also a bad idea for multiple reasons, but I want to hear what you guys think. See ya.